Hey guys, Rinji here, and there has been Twitter troubles of an anime nature this time around, as the modern anime fandom really likes to make up different weird opinions about anime, about the Japanese, and hold them up as the truth, as the absolute truth. And these opinions are sometimes so nonsensical that it's really baffling that some people actually do believe them and spread them around. And today we have one of those opinions. A 20-year-old anime fan, or at least they claim to be one, decided to explain to everybody why anime characters look white to them. Well, they came to the conclusion is that because East Asians are self-hating, and that's why all of these white features such as blonde hair and blue eyes have to be glorified. But let's get right into that one, and let's see where this nonsense actually leads. And at the end of the video, I will actually explain to you why this trope actually exists and what this actually is, because it certainly isn't East Asians, in particular the Japanese, hating themselves. That's just ridiculous. But let's get right into that one, as Yalin has something to say about anime. East Asians have a ton of self-hate for their own features and portray themselves as white-looking, and that is why white people are so attracted to anime, because the characters look like them, even though they are not white/them. Naruto and Sailor Moon are examples of that phenomenon. Or as I would have it, I think most people are attracted and can relate to anime characters because they are cool-looking, not because they're white-looking, and furthermore, is because they act cool, they have cool personalities, they go on cool adventures. A lot of times they go through very relatable stories that resonate with people on a human level. It's not about the skin color, and if it is about the skin color for you, then you have a very shallow human experience. I will tell you that much. But this rant goes on into more nonsense. I'm still so offended by this Japanese anime portrayal of Quetzalcoatl, Chichimi and deity who was horrifically whitewashed in this anime. Like the audacity to portray a deity of brown indigenous people like this, like East Asians portray black and brown people so badly. Jesus Christ. And King Arthur is a woman that has sex with a Japanese teenager and can shout beams out of her magical sword. Whatever, let's move on, because it still keeps on going. Luffy being Mexican in the live action was reparations, because why am I finding out that he made a horrifically offensive stereotypical Mexican character named Tacos? Like, what was Oda thinking? Why can't East Asians be normal when portraying brown and black people? Well, let me tell you something about stereotypical Mexican characters when it comes to their reception with Mexicans themselves. I cannot speak for Mexicans myself since I'm not one. But having been on social media for many, many years now, I've seen a lot of Mexicans, a lot of people from Latin America enjoying the likes of Speedy Gonzalez and very stereotypical characters like this in sombreros, in ponchos. They find it amusing that their culture is represented in such a way, and whenever anyone actually makes trouble about this kind of portrayal, it's usually non-Mexicans. And you will find many actual Mexicans on Twitter and such telling them to shut up gringo, because that's how it usually is. It's always the weird Americans that have to be offended for the non-offended. It's just how it is. Let's move on, because this trend doesn't end at this. White supremacy is a fucking sickness, and I need people to understand how insidious it is. Like, whiteness is the standard in this world for humanity. Virtue, goodness, and everything that needs to stop. POC bleach their skin, hair, get plastic surgery to emulate whiteness, and it's fucking sad. The hatred for dark skin, darker hair, and eyes wider features, bigger slash curvier bodies, coarse slash textured hair, and eyes with emphatic folds, monoloids sickens me. Like it's everywhere, and I want to let POC know that your natural features are beautiful and fuck white beauty standards that make you think otherwise. Like go to the beach and get a tan and enjoy nature. Don't straighten your hair, don't change your eye shape, don't slim down your features or whiten your skin. I'm sending radical self-love to all the POCs, and don't let the people that have colonized, raped, and murdered and created racism in the first place tell you that you are ugly. Yes, it's the white people that created racism, slavery, and going on other people based on their looks has existed since the beginning of man. But it's the white people that have invented that. White people aren't standards for shit on this earth, except brutality, violence, and genocide. Sometimes you wonder if all of this is just bait posting, but it just keeps on going and going, and if it's bait, it's very good bait. I give you that. But I've seen many people on this platform, and by this platform I mean Twitter, have these genuine opinions. So I'm not certain. This level of vitriol towards white people may be just very extreme racism or just very good bait. You be the judge of that. I'm just here to laugh at idiots on the internet. But this round doesn't even end here. Let's continue. A whole swath of side of the anime fandom, which included unsavory characters like a Nazi, a lolly, and pro-shippers, have all to say about defending anime's pervasive whiteness / painless problem. It has no problem when it comes to racism, anti-blackness, or any type of bigotry. Yeah, because apparently everywhere where black people go, everywhere where brown people go, they meet racism, and no place is free of it. It's just really freaking funny that the most people that were racist are just people that have these sorts of opinions, and it's always some weird anti-white thing. And not only that, because when they do meet black people and other indigenous people, of darkest skin color, when these people do not agree with them, they are called slurs by these same people that claim to be anti-racist, that claim to be on their side. So yeah, racism's there to stay, but from people like this, not from people just wanting to watch anime. That's, again, very ridiculous claim to take. Let's continue. Anime fans wonder why the anime community gets a bad rep when they make no effort to make it a safe space for brown and black people. This is the same attitudes that allowed the racist webtoon. That's webtoon, that's webtoon. To thrive in the first place. I'm done. This is why black / brown washing is okay to me. And this nonsense aside, this person was mentioning at the beginning of this very weird rant that anime characters look white because white beauty standards are a thing and everyone strives towards them. But no, these are not why these characters look quote-unquote white. That's because there exists something like mukokuseki. And mukokuseki is a trope which I will explain using this TV Tropes article. Mukokuseki is a deliberate lack of ethnic features included in the character design of Japanese fictional characters. It literally means stateless, here without nationality. Though the term relates to more abstract anime, in this case used hyperbolically. Note that just because you perceived someone as being a particular ethnicity despite word of God, saying otherwise doesn't mean it in this trope. The trope appears when characters of the same race look completely different or characters of different races look essentially the same. It's the ambiguity that arises when there's a lack of facial profiling. Look at this picture to the right. Are the characters all different ethnicities? If so, what are they? Are they all the same ethnicity? And if so, which is it? It can cause some other problems with a live-action adaptation. Do you cast character based on canon ethnicity or just someone who fits in the subjective range of ethnic vagueness of the drawing? Whatever is the majority for the assumed audience regardless? People, rightly or wrongly, typically fall back on one of two explanations for this trope. The first is that the purpose of mukokuseki is to make the characters look distinct so that the audience and the artist don't get confused. The work set in largely homogeneous, it's set in the largely homogeneous Japan. It can be hard for an animator to make unique designs in such a simple art style of several dozen straight black-haired, brown-eyed people. The second is the idea that the artists are supposedly appropriating features from the exotic other, in this case, white people, into their character designs either for their own interests or for marketing purposes. It is speculated the pervasiveness of these physical characteristics in Japanese pop culture are the result of Western influences. Eurocentricity beauty standards have infiltrated most cultures over the centuries via Western colonialism and soft power. The Portuguese missionary Luís Frois, who stayed in Japan for more than 30 years during the Warring States period, said, "Europeans say big eyes are beautiful. The Japanese consider it horrifying and make it beautiful to have the eyes crossed." This describes how the Japanese at that time idealized the same eyes as depicted in the pictures of scrolls and bijinga, rather than big eyes, which are dominant beauty standard in Japan today. Western societies tend to view ethnic Caucasian features as default or featureless, so when they are seen unrealistic depictions of humans, they subconsciously assume the depiction looks white unless there are specific racial stereotypes attached, which in most cases they aren't. And again, it all depends on your perception in this case. But, you know, having that second definition brought up by these people that are just racists, it just isn't it. Because anime isn't inherently white, and it will probably never be. That's why, you know, the Japanese make anime for Japanese people, about Japanese people. That Eurocentricity, that focus on quote-unquote white-looking characters is just not the thing. And whatever you say about beauty standards, anime is diverse enough, and there will be different beauty standards depending on who's writing the story and who's drawing the story. It's all very subjective. But if you have that sort of point of view where you cannot relate to an anime character because they don't look like you on the surface, then to me at least, you are pretty shallow and you cannot emphasize with their human experience. Yes, I know, anime character, human experience, but these characters are meant to emulate certain human experiences. And for example, in a lot of slice of life shows, people relate to the characters because they act in relatable ways, and that's why they become attractive. It's not just because they look white to somebody. Anybody, any anime fan should be able to relate to any anime character based on how they act, what they do, and what kind of story arcs they go through, what kind of personality traits they have. What they look like is probably the last thing a lot of people actually think about, unless you're the weird identitarian. But for right now, that's everything, and I hope to see you on the next one.